Hello and welcome to the Daily Atheist Morning Show. It is Tuesday, March 10th, 2020, and we've got I've got a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun today. We've got my co-host, Andy Hall. Good morning, Andy.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing this fine morning?
Doing wonderful so far. Glad you could join me again on Tuesday. You may be a regular on Tuesday. Hopefully, we'll see how that goes. And we have got Godless Granny and her daughter, Rachel.
Hello.
So, good morning, Godless Granny. How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing good. And this is your oldest daughter, Rachel, right?
No, this is my youngest daughter.
Youngest daughter.
That's okay.
I was testing you. You passed. Look at you.
Yeah.
Which one's the oldest, the 30-year-old or the 18-year-old?
Actually, they just turned 31 and 33 now.
Yeah.
There's a big gap between Rachel and her sisters.
I see. Okay, so the youngest one. Gotcha.
Yeah, she's the youngest by a long stretch.
Okay, good.
And I asked her to come on with me for support.
Okay.
I'm fairly new to atheism. I've only been an atheist for about 8-9 months, and my deconversion is primarily due to her.
Her fault. I see. You're just throwing her under the bus. Gotcha. I understand. Well, let me
actually, I credit her with rescuing me.
Yeah, well put. I want to real quick say hi to everybody in the chat. We have got, of course, Andy. Hi, Andy. Nice to see you there.
Always pleasure.
Kristen, Raven, and Dave are here. Always, Kristen is so much fun. She's everywhere. And Dave too. Dave is amazing. You guys know Dave, right? You've seen Dave. He's all over the place. Critical Cripple is who I'm talking about. And then, of course, Amiga Nuts. Amiga Nuts is here joining us this morning. Did I miss anybody? My stuff is not working. Hello, computer. I think I got everybody so far. There will be more. So good morning, everybody. Thanks, Andy. Thanks, Gary, for joining us.
I'm glad to be here on the first or second day of the Corona apocalypse.
The Corona apocalypse. That's true. You know, somebody mentioned that I saw it. Maybe it was a meme. Do you remember, like a month ago, something like that, a month and a half ago, the Chinese were up in arms by the millions in the city, right? They were everywhere.
Oh, in Hong Kong. That is correct, sir.
Yeah, they were everywhere. It was Hong Kong. Yeah. They were protesting and rioting, and then the coronavirus happened. And now the streets are empty. So, I don't know. Interesting stuff, huh?
That is the power of the flu, sir, of the super flu.
Well, you know, and I mean, we can talk about how many people die by the regular flu compared to coronavirus. You know, I mean, there's people get all panicked about this, but not about this, even though more right now are dying. But you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, media panic goes a long way. Good morning, Granny.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Sorry, I saw you looking down. I thought you were looking at something in the chat. And I thought, is there somebody else named Granny in the chat?
Oh, well, you know, and then thank you for mentioning that. This is something I got to work out. The camera is up here. Granny is down here. And Andy, the closest one to the chat, is still down here. So I've really got to figure out to where when I'm addressing the peeps, it's more along the lines. But that's, you know, one technique. We just rebuilt. I don't know. Anybody notice we just rebuilt the studio in the background? The wife did that. I painted the walls. And then so now I got the tech. But this camera thing has just been driving me nuts. Yeah. So anyway, I can look at it, but then whenever you start talking, it's awkward to sit here and look at the camera. I want to look.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. So we'll just deal with it, and as I go along, at least I'm not wearing the glasses. The wife really bangs on me about wearing the glasses because you can't see my pretty eyes. She just
I have mine right here in case I need to read something.
Well, what I did see is I put this monitor way over there that's far away because I can see pretty good far away and it's big. So I put my chat over there, but I got to look at the chat. I could side look at it, but then I look like a creep. I mean, like a creep.
I can see far away because I've had cataract surgery on both eyes and I have lens implants that let me see far. Oh. But I still need reading glasses to see up close.
Mm.
As a 51-year-old man, one of my goals is not to look creepy.
Yes, it's hard.
It is tough.
Cataract surgery is easy, so if you ever need it and you get the lens implants, they're wonderful.
They're wonderful. Okay. I will probably, I already have early cataracts going on. They told me. So I'm like, what the hell with you people? Yeah. So, Granny, if you don't mind, you want to tell us a little bit about your coming out story? You were, your daughter there had something to do. She was most influential.
Yes, she was. We I was a Christian for 42 years. I became a Christian at age 16. I actually was raised in a home that was really non-religious. And then, I was converted at 16 and I became a very devout follower. I mean, I did everything. I went on mission trips. I taught VBS. I taught home Bible studies. I was in the choir. I helped found a church. I was the church finance chairman in one church. I've done just about everything there is except be a pastor. And I was very devoted to the church. And that's why I always laugh whenever I'm on Twitter and somebody says, well, you never really knew God. You don't know me.
Right. Well, can I ask Miss Rachel real quick? Hi, Rachel.
Hey. Yeah.
Can you tell us about you and how you?
Oh yeah. So I deconverted at 18 because I was watching Professor Stick, and I was like,
"Aren't you 18 now?"
Oh yeah. Well, actually, wait, no, 17. I guess it was.
Okay,
it was.
just checking. I'm just making sure.
It was recent. But yeah, and I was just like, oh no, he's making fun of Christians. I have to stop watching him. And then I was like, or maybe I just don't. And then I became an atheist for a year and just hit it. And finally I was like, you know what? I should probably tell my mom so that I don't have to keep going to church.
There you go.
Well, the thing that there were a lot of things along the road. And when I get on Neil's show, I'll tell the whole road.
Oh, yeah, the whole story on Neil. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. But it really deconstructed when she came to me and she said, Mom, Noah's flood never happened. And I said, why do you say that? And she said, well, for one thing, the methane gas would have killed them. And so I looked it up on Google and I realized she was right. There's no way you could have all those animals in a ship with no ventilation except one window for a whole year and survive.
Yeah.
And, and I said, okay, so maybe that part's exaggerated. And so, but, then there was, it was another thing and another and another. And I realized, it just isn't real.
A number of those things were said by me. I kept like just randomly saying things, trying to get a reaction.
What denomination were you guys?
Well, at the time we were Baptist, but we never really claimed a denomination. And that was partly because my husband was active duty Army and we moved a lot. So we've done Baptist, we've done Evangelical Free, we've done Presbyterian, we've done Methodist.
Calvinist.
Yeah, Calvinist, Evangelical Mennonite, which doesn't exist anymore. Now they're the Fellowship of Evangelical Churches. They wanted to get the Mennonite out of their name.
Gotcha.
It sounds like you were mainstreaming some kind of crazy Protestant.
Yeah, we went to all kinds of different Protestant churches.
Right.
Anybody but Catholicism. That's funny.
Well, my parents were Catholic when I was born.
Oh, I see.
And so I was actually baptized Catholic. And I sort of had a first communion with the Catholic Church.
So you guys are both really new at this. I mean,
oh yeah, much. Yeah.
Okay, pretty. All right. So you're both really new at this. Have you watched Chris Hitchens? You familiar with Chris Hitchens?
I am familiar with Chris Hitchens. I've seen him on a couple of things where he's been a guest here and there, but I haven't watched anything of his directly.
Yeah. Okay. And you, Miss Rachel? I'm just curious.
I'm mostly just in it for the comedy. I mostly just stick to what I know.
Oh, hey, that's great too. Well, one of the things I just ask, because he's one of the pillars of modern atheism, one of the best. So he's pretty good.
I was wondering if we were going to talk to you and you were still believers, would you say that Catholics were Christians?
I knew a lot of Protestants that said no. I always said yes. And a primary reason why I always said yes is my roommate as an undergrad was Catholic. And having talked to her, there was no question in my mind that she was saved. She just used slightly different language than I did. The Protestants talk about accepting Christ into their hearts. And she said, I do that when I take communion. I say, this is the body of Christ. I take it into myself. I've accepted Christ. And I said, okay, so they do it slightly different, but they're still doing the same thing.
Right. I always like to ask people that who are part of the hardcore Protestant movement, because there are a lot of Protestants out there who think that Catholicism is just some form of idolatry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would have gotten bullied in school if I was Catholic.
That's hard.
Yeah, our Bible teacher played a couple videos on why Catholics are idol worshippers and aren't really Christian, with many Catholics in the room.
Yeah.
Well, I guess he didn't care because he played a video called "Transgender People Don't Exist" in front of the transgender people in the class. That was awkward.
Of course, he didn't know there was a transgender person in his class, because if he would have said he was transgender, he would have been expelled.
Yeah.
Interesting people.
Yeah.
That's very true. Miss Lucy asked me what I meant when I said modern atheism. I just mean the four horsemen and down. Starting with Dawkins, Dennett, Hitchens, and who am I forgetting? Anyway, starting with those guys.
Dan Dennett.
Yeah, okay, I got it. And then moving down to the more modern ones, like Arn Ra, all those people. That's what I'm talking about. Maybe we should say the internet movement of atheism. I don't know. But atheism has been around forever, and we have examples of it throughout ancient history. I was talking about modern atheism. Don't be a jerk, Lucy.
We like best name ever's comment. What an asshole! Sounds like a horrible school.
Yeah, not
and she's right. It was.
Yeah. She mentioned earlier that she had and Lucy, I got to just mention, Lucy likes Harry Potter. I want to throw that out there. She's a Harry Potter person. Okay. Kristen, best name ever. She mentioned earlier that she had eye surgery and said that it sucks. I had that laser surgery on my eyes, and it felt like, it wasn't so bad. It wasn't so bad, but it kind of felt like I had sandpaper in my eyes for a few days. But since then, it's been great. So moving on. Yes, the school that was that way. Go ahead.
Sandpaper in your eyes.
Yeah, they was just.
What that.
Can you imagine?
I can't. It sounds horrible.
Yeah, that's kind of it just sounded that's kind of how it felt for a couple of days. Yeah, or how you ever been? I once as a young person burned my eyes skiing. I didn't have sunglasses on in the snow, and it got my eyes. Yeah. And that's kind of what it felt like for a couple of days. A sunburn on your eyes.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So one of the things, whenever I was still living down in Texas and I was preparing to move to Albuquerque, I was talking to an old ex of mine. And she and I kind of got into an argument. I didn't realize she's like a full-blown fundy Christian nutbag. I just didn't know. And what got us was we were talking about schools. And she mentioned that here in Albuquerque, there were kids who had to go, whenever they were atheist and Muslim kids, they had to go outside and stand in the hall during the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, gosh.
If they refused to say under God, they would be, this was not true. She was lying. But it started an argument between her. I'm like, that's ridiculous. How could they do that? And she's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, well, because I didn't know I was talking to somebody on the other side. She was telling me this as a pro. It was a good thing to her that they were doing this, So that's, the examples you guys are talking about, the school you went to. Yeah. And there's other things going on right now. They're trying to push things in laws in schools around our country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then of course the thing I've been going on about quite a bit is the denial of care that's they're trying to be pushed through.
Yeah. The House Bill 390 in Kentucky. Yeah.
Yeah. So not happy about that. So carry on, if you will, talking about your deconversion stories, the two of you. Now, again, neither one of you's been there too long, so you haven't seen Chris Hitchens. I'm imagining you had Sam Harris. You familiar with him?
I've been reading some of Sam's books.
Okay.
I love
Sam Harris.
I love Rationality Rules. I love Cosmic Skeptic, and they were discussing some of his books, so I started reading some of his books.
Gotcha.
Well, anyway, let's see. I'm trying to remember where we left off. Yeah. So anyway, I guess for me, the final straw was Rachel got me to watch a video of an ARC protest, and we're watching this, and the final straw I should back up for just a minute. One thing that really started getting me thinking was that letter to Dr. Laura, where somebody said, Dr. Laura, you said that homosexuals should be put to death, and so I want to clarify a few things. The Bible also says that working on Sunday is a capital crime. Should I put my neighbor to death for working on Sunday? And there was a whole list of things that were just absolutely ridiculous if you were trying to live by them. And I started thinking about that. The whole change in tenor with the Trump administration was a huge thing for me, because I had already started to see how Christians claim that they love and forgive. And one of the things I saw was in my middle daughter's high school class, there were 3 girls that got pregnant, and 2 of them were expelled. The third one was fortunate that she found out she was pregnant during the summer, so she could withdraw without anyone knowing why she withdrew from school. And I thought, and all of these girls went to the public school. And I said, why does the secular community forgive you, but the Christians won't? That seems to me, if we're going to claim that people are forgiven for their sin, why can't we forgive people? And then when the Trump administration came along and all of this hatred and bigotry towards Mexican people, yes, how can you call yourself Christian? So I kept dissociating myself more and more to the point where I was almost had my own religion. And one of the things that I also changed was I having been both an Armenian and a Calvinist. Should I explain those terms, or do people really know the difference between those?
I don't think most people know what
Armenian nationality.
No, when it comes to theology, Armenianism says that you have free will, you choose to become saved. Calvinism says that God calls you, and you can't answer the call. You can't answer and accept Christ unless you've been called. Who will be called was determined before the beginning of the earth. And if you are called, it is an irresistible call. You cannot deny the call. And so who is saved is determined by God before the foundation of the earth. And I was convinced of Calvinism because of the sovereignty issues.
Yes.
Because if you go with the Armenian theology, God is not sovereign. People decide who goes to heaven.
You're completely right about that. You're completely, I always thought Calvinism made more sense when I was believing, because it's so, well, one, because it makes sense. It's logically coherent in a crazy way, in an absurd way, that people don't have free will. And for those of you who aren't saved, well, that's just too bad. It's not, you're just that's just too bad if you're not saved.
Right. And so, and there's plenty of Bible verses that support both sides. And so I reconciled them by saying, okay, some people are called, but after we die, everyone's going to get a second chance and be asked, would you like to go to heaven? And that's how every knee is going to bow, because everyone is going to say yes, and everyone's going to heaven. And I realized that, at that point, I had really made up my own theology, and I was all by myself. And so it wasn't too hard to go from there to atheism. And the thing that really was the final straw that broke the camel's back was watching this video of an ARC protest. And they had this big banner that said genocide and incest park. Yeah. And when I saw that, at first I thought, oh my gosh, that is so offensive. How dare they say that? And then I started thinking about it. I said, they're right. The flood is a story of genocide and incest.
If I can real quick, we had yesterday on the show, oh goodness, Michael, I forgot his last name. I can look it up in just a second. The guest we had on the show yesterday, Bad Chris, by the way, for forgetting your name. He was one of those protesters. That's one of the
yes,
got him into the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw.
Interesting story. And a lot of people like you say, well, Math Pig. I'm sure you're probably familiar with Math Pig. Real quick, I want to shout out to Link Thomas. Good morning for showing up, and Native Atheist. Good morning for popping in with us. There's several more people have popped in. Actually, we've doubled since we started. Anyway, Math Pig. He has a very similar story about. Let's see. Whenever all right, let me just switch back over first real quick to the incest thing. I'm doing a series right now called The Evil God Monster of Abraham, and I'm going through the chapters of the Bible, and we've actually had incest twice in the Bible. Two times they've and then of course the incest part starts there with Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel, right? And then it goes on again. So twice they repopulate the earth. I still can't remember what I was going to tell you about Math Pig. It was powerful, relevant.
Blame Math Pig.
So I need to blame Math Pig. So there is that logical inconsistency, and I can see how holding that sign up could hopefully. And the meme, I've seen the meme you're talking about earlier, where it says, oh yeah, can you stone your son for this, for giving you a hard time? You're supposed to drag your son, those kind of things. I've seen that meme, and I've wondered, does that have an effect on believers?
Yes,
it does.
Yes. I would love to meet the person who made that banner that said incest and genocide part.
Yeah, absolutely. Forgive Math Pig. You're doing it for Forgive Math Pig. I don't know if we can do that. Blame Math Pig. It's blame Math Pig. Anyway, yeah. So that's interesting that actually was a big influence on you. What and with you, Miss Rachel, what was one of your things? Now you said the cartoon.
Yeah, mine was so much simpler.
Okay.
Yeah, but also mine was just so much simpler because I just always was like, I was always told there's no transition between monkey and man. There's absolutely no evidence to show that humans evolved in any way. And I was just like, okay. And then I saw videos like, yes, there is. Oh, okay. This all was wrong.
Yeah. Now you're talking about the humor of atheism. Have you ever caught up with George Carlin? Have you ever seen his shtick on God?
I don't think he's before her time.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
well, I just thought maybe if you do like an internet search of funny atheists, Tim Minchin, George Carlin, they've got some really great sticks on religion. Yeah, so that's where I've always found humor. Of course, there's also movies. We saw that movie. Oh, what was it called? It had Chris Rock in it.
Dogma.
That was a oh yeah.
So Dogma had a lot of big names in it. Had Chris Rock, had Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. This is back in the day, back in the 90s.
Yeah, I think you might enjoy it though. I mean, there's nothing in it that screams 90s outside of maybe the hairstyles, some of the clothing.
There was a lot of plaid.
Yeah,
Best name ever says she thinks that Aaron Ra and his wife made that sign, or Jim Hilton and family. I don't know who Jim Hilton is, but thank you, best name.
Yeah, gotcha. That's good.
Love Dogma. Yeah, Dogma was pretty funny. I've not seen Stigma. Best name.
I haven't either.
I've not seen Stigma.
We're getting some shout outs for George Carlin. So Rachel, trust me, if you want to laugh, and it's vulgar, it's
vulgar stuff.
It applies to modern society. It's still funny. Just you'll like it. George Carlin rules. Stigma, Dogma, Jay and Silent Bob. That's one of the things, they're hanging outside of an abortion clinic because it's women that they know put out or something.
Well, it's a Kevin Smith movie, right? It's a Kevin Smith movie. So there's some funny dark humor involved in that. Yeah.
Well, of course, back to the religion aspect of it. This is really a Catholic thing. They're going all about the Catholic thing. And if you haven't seen it, Miss Rachel, Ben Affleck and what's his name, brother? They're angels.
Oh, Matt Damon.
Matt Damon, yeah. Apparently I have no memory this morning. No short-term memory. It's just gone. So these two guys are angels, and they're trying to get their wings back. Or no, they're trying to get back into heaven. They've been kicked out of heaven, and they got to do certain things, and it's hilarious, and it mocks Catholicism all the way through. It's got Allan Lichtman, and he's an angel. Yeah. So he had this woman's like, "Oh, don't rape me, don't rape me." He's like, "Rape you? I ain't got no junk," and he pulls off his pants. He ain't got no junk. Why would I rape you? That's an argument I recently made in the Evil God Monster of Abraham series. Is that in like chapter 3 or something, it talks about the sons of God coming down to breed with the daughters of men. I'm like, wait, sons of God have they're equipped for that? Really? They have that? Do they not have daughters? If they don't have daughters of God, why would you be equipped to engage?
Well, that's a question of what those sons of God were. Are they the Nephilim, or are they angels, or what are they?
Well, they're not Nephilim, because it says, the Nephilim, there's one scripture that mentions the Nephilim, and it says the Nephilim were around before and after the sons of God. So it specifically mentions the two of them together as separate groups. But it doesn't in the Bible, in this same chapter, it goes, humans are bad. They're bad. They're horrible. I hate humans. Every thought they have is evil. God says these things. But he never says the Nephilim are bad. He never says the sons of God. He just says the sons of God came down and had took the women for their brides. That's what it says. It doesn't say that's bad or good. And then like the next line, it goes, and the Nephilim were around, and they came around, and they were here before, and they were here after the sons of God. And then it goes, and men were here, and men were bad. Men were really bad. Man is bad. It never says that the sons of God breeding with the women is bad. It never vilifies that. None of those things. I only know this because I just went through it. Not like I'm some sort of Bible nut or anything. I told my wife the other day, I was like, you know how lucky you are to have a husband who comes home and reads the Bible every night? And not probably how they meant it, but
you have a very anointed household. That's what you have, Chris.
Yes.
I thought some of the anime lore I watched was complicated.
So you like the anime?
Mm-hmm.
See, younger mind is just more pliable to these kind of things. I think one of the things is whenever you understand like anime and science fiction and stuff like that, because anime and science fiction really blur the lines a lot there too. Whenever you understand those things and see those things, it becomes easier to turn and look at religions, especially the way they act. They're old, mothy books that are all great open. You can kind of see how that's all just fantasy now. These things. Matter of fact, on Sci-Fi Saturdays, if you like sci-fi, we do science fiction on Saturdays, and that's kind of the big part of that show is actually talking to people and going, was there anything about science fiction that helped pull you out of your religion? Anime. It's a good crack.
I'd say Doctor Who. When I was watching Doctor Who back in the day, fourth Doctor, Tom Baker, of course, because I'm an old guy.
Me too.
I think that helped me kind of to get pulled out of religion. Yeah, I think that was helpful because it was like, Cosmos, the original Cosmos series with Carl Sagan was on Sundays, I believe, and then you had Tom Baker, Doctor Who, Monday through Friday. So there was a lot of subversive content. In my early days.
For some people, it was Matrix. I noticed Link Thomas mentioning Matrix. Star Wars. I don't know about Star Wars so much. Star Trek, though, for me. Matter of fact, Dr. Kyle Johnson was on the show a couple of times. He's going to be back. For him, it was Dr. McCoy in the old Star Trek that kind of helped him embrace science over the religion that was being taught. Now, for somebody like Godless Granny, though, I mean, you don't really strike me as the sci-fi kind, and you put.
Oh no, that's the opposite.
I am a huge Star Wars fan.
Are you? Really?
And it's primarily because that was my first date. My very first date ever. I was 15. My date was 14, so his mother had to drive us to the theater to see the very first Star Wars. In 1970, whatever it was when that movie came out. Because of that, I've always been a huge Star Wars fan. And I'm a Tolkien fan. I love Lord of the Rings. So I do like science fiction, but Matrix, I never liked Matrix.
No? Mm-mm. There are a lot of religious undertones, like their license plates on the cars are all scriptures, stuff like that. There's a lot of relationship trying to... 1,000 years, Nero will be Jesus.
Yeah, there's so much religious symbolism in Matrix because it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It's just if you're a real believer, would you be offended? I don't really normally have believers, but it's our. So my deal, though, I was thinking about you, and in your case, I guess science fiction. Yeah, surprise, Star Wars, huh?
Yeah, best name ever asked. Haven't you seen my avatar? Yeah, it's old Princess Leia.
Oh, right. I saw that. That's pretty cool.
One of Rachel's friends drew that for me. I can't draw anything. And so one of her friends is an artist, and he drew that for me.
I see. Michael Englehart, my buddy, we go way back. He just got finished going through all the Star Wars. He's loving it. He's giving it a total thumbs up. Jedi is a religion, Easeism. Good morning, Ease. He wanted to mention that. I like them both for their independent, for the differences. Star Wars is a lot of run and gun, and it's a lot of fun, and it's sci-fi what you want it to be. It's Star Trek is more thoughtful, and it is more, they're just different. I like them both.
I do too.
Star Wars. Right. People usually clean in one or two areas. Star Wars is more of a mythical structure to it, right?
Yes.
More of a Joseph Campbell-y kind of hero with 1,000 faces, heroic monomyth story. While Star Trek is more about how do people get along with each other. Yeah.
And Star Trek gives us the utopian future of mankind. What I would like to see, the direction I would like to see us go with us solving all of our problems on Earth, our social problems, our hunger problems, then going out into space and being representative and exploring and learning and meeting other people. I love it. Star Wars is not us. It's not supposed to be us. It's adventure. It's the cowboy. It's the riding the horse. It's the shooting and the cutting of the swords. It's the swashbuckling. There's difference. It's not a reflection of our future. It's just fun. Star Trek is a reflection of where we're supposed to go, or hopefully, an idea of where we'd like to go.
Star Wars is supposed to be the past.
Yes. Well, there's some theories on that. But in a galaxy far, far away, therefore it's not us. But technically, a long, long time ago, our galaxy was far, far away because they move. So if you wanted, it could be seen that way. Now, I've heard the theory that the humans in Star Wars actually come from Earth, and they leave Earth for whatever reason, whether Earth is bad or whatever. I don't know what happened. They leave Earth and they fall into a wormhole accidentally that carries them back in time to a galaxy far, far away. They populate Coruscant, and now we have the people who began the humans in Star Wars. I like that theory. It's not canon, but it's an interesting theory. They have videos on it.
Well, why do I feel like I suddenly dropped into a Star Wars apologetics?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, common ground. They like Star Wars.
Oh, no. I'm on with you. I like Star Wars too. I enjoyed the last movie quite a bit.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm still waiting to see it. Yeah.
No, you can't say you enjoyed the last movie. That's not allowed.
Well, what I can say is that I can dump on a bunch of other things about Star Wars, and I have a bad pick of a bad lot. I can definitely say that the last movie was better than the last three. Out of 7, 8, 9, 9 was the best of the lot. I think everyone would agree with that. I mean, if I'm going to try to build bridges here,
yeah, it's tough. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I could agree that 1, 2, and 3 were the worst so far that I've seen. I think, well, maybe not 3, but 2. 2 was the worst. Episode 2, the romance in the field with
that was horrible. Yeah.
With the 18-year-old. Hopefully, he was 18 years old, and she was like 30 at the time. Woman.
No, she was only supposed to be about 24 or 25. She's supposed to be.
I just knew she was a grown-up woman. Whenever he was what?
No, 7? They said she was the youngest queen ever. She was elected at 16.
Well, then she would still be 7 or 8 years older than the Anakin.
Right.
I mean?
Yeah. Still a lot, right. But not as
still. It's like she's going, "Are you legal? Are you legal? You're legal, right? Okay." But I could see with a younger crowd how, especially girls, how they would be attracted to Rey as far as a character. Wanting to be like Rey. I love Rey's character. The problem I have with it is she's too fast. She goes from knowing nothing about anything to being a Jedi Master, and before she even meets Luke and gets trained to be a Jedi Master, she beats Kylo Ren over and over again, despite having never touched a lightsaber before, and he's supposed to be one of the best left in the galaxy with it. You know what I mean? These were problems for me. She's never had any training. She just suddenly knows, I guess, she's a Jedi, and now she can move stormtroopers around with their mind. These things bothered me,
That's a common fantasy problem, especially with trying to make a sequel to something. You got to make the new protagonist stick out from the old one, so she's got to be better.
Well, I get
You're
it.
right about that. You're right about that.
Then I have not seen the last one, Mike, and that's what I'm saying. In the most recent one, it may explain that, and it may even give us what I was fixing to say was it may have that first one going, throughout her childhood, she's done these kind of things and has noticed, but there's never given any notification that she ever had any of these abilities until X. This happened, and now suddenly she can do it. But maybe that may change in the most recent movie. It may give us some backstory I don't know about.
As the Star Wars universe expands, and this is from what I've only seen from seeing bits and pieces of The Mandalorian with the baby non-Yoda or baby Yoda, is that there seems to be, with some people or some characters, they have some kind of innate force abilities. But I'm getting into deep waters here for me because I'm not a Star Wars apologetic scholar. Yeah. I do not have my PhD in that, sir. That's what and fans.
Yeah, the same thing happened in The Last Airbender, if you've ever seen that. They made a first series, and the plot of the first series was just trying to get the main character to learn how to master the 4 elements, and then they start a sequel series, and they're like, she knows 3 of the 4 already, and she's 5.
Yeah.
Right.
So those were the only problems I really had with the new Star Wars. I love, even on the new prequels, the 1, 2, and 3. I love the graphics. That second, I think it's the second movie, which I've already banged on. I think it's the second movie, where they come out and they're going over this ship battle, and they come over this big, huge ship, and they're in the tiny ships. And then once they move over that ship, it exposes the fact that there's hundreds of ships, massive ships. This is a huge battle, lots of things going on. That's wonderful. I love that stuff. I got to give them credit for those things. It's just those little tiny things even with Luke. Or not Luke, but Anakin in the first 1, 2, and 3, he had a progression to where he had, he showed abilities young, and you got to see him use them and learn how to grow. How do you run we talked about this last Saturday on the show. How do you run a lightsaber without cutting your own freaking head off or losing a leg? It takes years of practice, but not with Rey. Bink, she's got it. Bam, 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 bam.
What I'm hearing, Chris, are the problems that you have with Star Wars are similar to the problems that you have with the Bible in terms of inconsistencies. And it seems to rub against you deep down in your fictitious soul. And I can understand that. I can understand that.
Yeah, it bothers me. It bothers me. I just can't. They need to fix it.
You know what I will say? This is what I always say about Empire Strikes Back, is that it is the hungriest movie out of the lot. Because there are so many food analogies and food metaphors, putting on my Joseph Campbell hat. If you actually had a little clicker and click every single time that there is some reference to food, either eating or pooping, their number is legion, my friend. I'm not going to get into the whole geekdom thing, but I swear to my fictitious God, it is very Joseph Campbell, because in the ancient myths about the transformation of the hero, it's about being digested, ingested, being changed, being cooked. And so, it's pretty weird. That's what it is.
Best name ever mentioned that Luke learned really quickly too. What? I get that, and I agree. The same thing with him. I have the same issue. Now with him, he talked about when he was young, he was young in the movie. He talked about before being a pilot and shooting womp-rats with something. I mean, that doesn't explain it. I could do that. It seemed like he had a buddy who we don't know if he was a Jedi or not. He could do that too, right? I don't remember his name right off. So it wasn't like it was a big deal. But with Luke, his deal that bothered me, not only that he all of a sudden went through all this training and suddenly survived and became a Jedi Master. Actually, he had like 2 hours with Yoda and becomes a Jedi Master. You know what I mean? There was no time there at all. They went running in the forest, and then he left early, didn't finish his training, never goes back to Yoda because Yoda died. There's no other Jedis. And in the next movie, he's dubbed himself a Jedi Master. The Jedi Master, Luke Skywalker, is here. Right? But with him, the problem I have with Luke is he just whined and bitched through the whole damn movie. I can't do it, Uncle Ben. I can't do it. I know why. And then it goes from Uncle Ben to Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan, I can't do it. It's so hard. I can't do it. It's too hard. I can't hit it with my lightsaber. The whole damn movie to kill. I mean, I loved Luke Skywalker as a kid, but watching it as an adult, I'm like, man, you whiny little brat. No wonder why they ditched you on a planet and ran away.
Well, I think the hero always has to be reticent somewhat. I think that's part of the monomyth formula, is that the hero typically has to refuse the call to adventure and then eventually get coerced into his heroic path.
Yeah, but isn't there a less whiny way to refuse the call instead of being like, I can't do it? Can't you just go no?
Truth. This woman speaks the truth. She does.
There are many roads. to the same
Road.
path.
Yeah.
See, I got my apologist hat on. My
Yeah,
gobbledygook stuff.
He just cries his way through the whole show. And of course, I don't know. Did you guys knew that between the first movie, the Star Wars movie, and the second movie, The Empire Strikes Back, the actor Mark Hamill had a car accident?
Oh yeah, dude. The messes. Well,
No, I didn't know that.
They tried to explain that.
They tried to explain it
in the movie with the attack by the snow beast Yeti monster.
Yeah, at the beginning of the
and so in Empire Strikes Back, because Mark Hamill looks very different. He got into a car accident, and so there had to be some kind of explanation. So that's why they had Luke being attacked by the big Yeti monster, and he's in the healing chamber, and his face is significantly different.
He was filming a movie called The Corvette Summer, which you can still find, yeah. But somewhere in the middle of that, he had a car accident and mucked up his face.
Yeah.
But still, it doesn't, his character was more calm later on in the series, obviously, as he grew up. But still, watching them now is really kind of hard for me. I do like the new ones better, I got to say, than those. Yeah. I just relate with them more. And they're more action-y fun. But now the more it's not... I didn't mean to turn this into a Sci-Fi Saturday show. But the more...
It's Star Wars now. Don't go back.
Well, the Star Wars, the modern Star Wars is more like Star Wars. There's less moral message and more run and gun with the new Star Wars movies. With the series, I don't know. I haven't been watching the new ones yet because me and the wife are working our way through them. So no Picard spoilers.
We haven't seen it.
Oh, you haven't? No?
I don't have daily the CBS stream or whatever it's on.
Whatever it's on now.
Yeah, well, with Star Wars and Star Trek, we've been watching it. We haven't watched the most recent Star Wars movie, and we haven't watched I've seen part of the new Discovery series. I got like 9 or 10 episodes into it. I'm like, man, I'm having a really hard time with this. I mean,
I'd heard it was really good.
Yeah. So the problems I've had a hard time with, my understanding is in season 2, they've worked over and they've gone, this is why that was that way. Like the Klingons again. Once again, they've changed the Klingon to where they completely look different. Now they can barely even speak. And you're going to tell me you're going to jack this guy into a little room and put some molecular stuff in it, and you're going to turn him from this big, huge Klingon guy into this scrawny little human dude? Really? You're going to tell me that? That's what you're just going to sell me? And that, I mean, it was just really hard because that's what happens, blah, blah, blah. But I hear they explain it very well in season 2. So
all I know is that I had it recommended to me by my favorite singer of all time in a concert. So that's all I know about it is what he said, and all he said was, I think that the Klingons look more goth now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They want to know who your favorite singer is.
Voltaire, Aurelio Voltaire.
Who?
Yeah, exactly. Weird instrumental goth music. It's really nice. It has a lot of violin, but
he is always at Dragon Con.
Did you say really? It's an instrumental?
Well, I mean, not instrumental. I meant like it's not really like hard rock most of the time.
Oh, okay. Because he was the singer of an instrumental band, and I was like, wait.
He's most famous for the song "Brains"
from Billy and Mandy.
Brain. I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll have to look him up. I'm not really writing this down.
Brains memorized.
Okay.
No. So what was his name again, though? Really, what was his name?
He actually had his name changed to Aurelio Voltaire, like the old French Renaissance artist.
Okay.
He mostly goes by Voltaire.
Voltaire, yeah, that's fine. I can find him with that. Yeah, cool. I have a son who is 15 or 16. 16. He's 16. I'm 15 or 16. He's 15 or 16. I don't know. Bad papa. And he's into all kinds of music and stuff, and he likes hardtop Jeeps because Justin Bieber likes hardtop Jeeps.
Oh, goodness, no.
Or something like that. You know what I mean? So I get it. I have Sawyer Brown. I'm jamming to Sawyer Brown on my phone while I'm working around the house, or doing whatever, because music is a powerful influence. Sawyer Brown, when I was your age, was my so I get it. I totally get it. I don't mean to be disrespectful to your guy. I was really writing it down. My son gets mad if I make fun of Justin Bieber, though.
I have a 14-year-old daughter, and she's a big anime fan, and I'll ask her what she's listening to, and she'll rattle off some name to some anime theme song. It's like, oh, okay, that's great.
Yeah, anime themes are good.
Yeah.
I did download the theme to Evangelion. I have to tell you, if I was going to make, if I was going to confess one of my sins today, my secular sins, it'd be I have Evangelion.
Goblin Slayer. It's written by my favorite Japanese band of all time, Millie, and it's in English. So
Goblin Slayer.
Goblin Slayer, yeah.
Goblin Slayer.
Like romantic.
I don't really care that much for Goblin Slayer. Like, it's good, but it's not really my thing. But my favorite band wrote all the music for it, and so.
Hey,
I'm sorry, one more bit about anime. My girlfriend and I were binging through Sunny in Philadelphia right now. But after we're done with that, we're going to go to Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, yeah.
And blow through that.
Have you seen, Miss Rachel, have you seen Evangelion?
I think I've seen part of it. Oh, wait, I'm getting it mixed up with Gundam. Yeah, I've watched like the first 7 or 10 episodes of Evangelion. I want to get back into it, but it's just...
Well, the reason why I'm asking is because now you can correct me on this, Andy, but there's this kind of religious.
In the opening credit, they have the Kabbalah tree, the Kabbalistic tree of life, and so I'm watching it with my kid for the first time, and I'm going, so this is a very strange show, isn't it?
Yeah. And
as you go through it, I think it's just someone's master's thesis.
Yeah, aren't they called angels?
Yeah, they are angels. Yeah, it's like I said, I think it might have been someone's LSD trip / maybe graduate thesis on religion and philosophy. Yeah. It's a great show. I liked it.
If you don't mind me changing the subject, I'd like to put in a bit of a plug for my channel.
Absolutely.
Thanks. Because Godless Engineer was very influential in helping me get started. And because really what I would like to do is live debates, and I wasn't sure how to get there. And I knew that, first of all, I'm nobody who knows me. And so the first thing I needed to do was build a platform and build up who I was. And I went and saw Godless Engineer lives here in Huntsville, Alabama.
Yeah. Okay.
And I saw him advertise that he was doing a live debate nearby. So I went and saw him primarily just to support him. And then I took him and Casey out to dinner once, and I asked him how he got started. And he's the one that told me how to start. And he said, go ahead, use your voice. And that's where I got my name from too. I said, you're Godless Engineer. And I also like alliteration. And so I said, do you mind if I go Godless Granny? Am I copying you? And he said, no, go for it. And
he's been on my show. He's a great guy.
Yeah, he is. But, he told me where to find videos on how to get started, what equipment to get and stuff like that. And if I run into something major, I text him and I ask him, how do I do this? And he'll help me out.
Well, that's great. I did put links to your show. Your channel down below for people if they want to find Godless Granny. And of course, we have wonderful people putting links in the chat too for you. So
yes, I saw that. That is wonderful.
So Godless Granny, I'm sorry, Godless Granny. When Godless Engineer did his live debate, did he have a referee?
Not a referee. They did have a moderator.
A moderator, right?
And one of the reasons why I felt like he could really use some support is they did it in a church.
Sure.
And I was rather surprised at who he took on, because the guy he took on had a science degree and came down from Canada to do this debate.
Really?
And Godless Engineer, his degree is in software.
Yep.
He's a computer software engineer. And so I thought, gosh, he's a little out of his element, but he did okay. I thought some of his points were a little bit, not exactly clashed. He was the person that came, his entire opening argument was all on fine tuning, and a Godless Engineer misunderstood that to be abiogenesis and ended up turning the debate toward abiogenesis. And but on the other hand, the guy that came down, his whole opening argument mostly was a pre-canned video. And it all came down to fine tuning. But you didn't say anything.
So, did he actually show a video
It was part of his speech. You know, he spoke for a bit, then he showed a video on how wonderful the human body is, and
That should have been illegal. That should have been like, false start there. That's
I thought it was fine because he wasted so much of his time with something that was so pointless.
Real quick, someone was asking if I am also an atheist, and I'm the reason Godless Granny is godless.
Yeah,
partially.
She stole my God.
Tossed your soul into hell. Well, so about your channel, Godless Granny, and about the debating. So I'd like to know, how long have you been doing the channel? But also answer that, and then I want to know more about the debating.
Okay, I've been doing the channel since December.
Okay.
So I've only been doing this for a couple of months, and my primary reason for doing it is to, I feel like, being out of Christianity is so freeing. And I had no idea that, life could be so much better than the mind shackles that you have as a Christian. But a bigger thing is, and I do see people talking about it, but it is more of a woman's issue, is, the whole trying to live under your husband's authority and realizing that, I don't have to live that way.
Right.
And it is so freeing to be able to think of myself as a person and think about what I want as a person. What do I want to do with my life? And not have my entire focus on how do I support my husband? How do I fulfill his wishes? What does he want? And that is a huge shift for me.
Right.
Because I actually, when what I wanted, what he wanted was in so much conflict for a while, I started trying to convince myself I am not a person. He is the person.
Yeah.
We do what he wants. I am not a person. I do not have thoughts. I do not have desires. And I really tried very hard to convince myself of that. And I utterly failed.
Well,
I think that's really... Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
One of the punishments for Eve for eating the fruit was that she would be a slave to her husband.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So,
and of course, Lilith.
And as much as Christians say the man and the wife are equal and it's just different roles, no, it's not.
She went from being a helper to being a slave, and I cover that in my series. Go ahead, Andy.
The nature of religion, of faith, is to turn the self against the self.
Yes, exactly.
That's what it is, and you can see this in so many insidious ways.
Mm-hmm.
About the debating. That's one of the things I was asking about earlier concerning Chris Hitchens, because he's one of the most popular debaters that you'll find on the internet. Chris Hitchens, Sam Harris, they debate people very publicly and very high up on the tier of the other side. So if you want to see some really good debating and learn some things, they would be good people to learn from.
I have a minor in public speaking. I did competition debate in high school and in college. I was a top tier college debater.
And this was back when debate was actually about debate and not how fast you get your points out.
Yeah.
And also you've got all that experience in the religion. You know what you're talking about. I totally get these. And absolutely. I weighed all that before I said it. I still think there's something a few things you might learn from those masters. They are the masters of atheistic. I mean, it would to actually go, you know what, I know enough and I don't need to go there is kind of I don't think.
I learned so much from watching one of Cosmic Skeptic's debates. I was watching him as his opponent was speaking, and I thought, why is he not taking notes? I mean, when I debate, I am furiously writing notes of what points I want to make. And I thought, why is he not taking notes? Does he have a photographic memory or something? Well, it's not photographic, but a perfect memory. And then when he got up and he started arguing, I thought, oh, this makes perfect sense. Because the first thing he said is, my opponent said blah, 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 blah. But all of that is really irrelevant to the topic, and this is the topic. And okay, now I understand why he didn't take notes, but he is an excellent debater.
Well, I think I know a lot about the subject. I would probably do okay, but my problem is I don't have those debating education skills. I don't have this point and this point. That's where I could use a lot of learning. And actually, I'm one of my viewers. He's not in the chat. I didn't see him in there today. He's going to debate a Christian on my channel as soon as they get their ducks in a row as to when they want to do it. So if you decide you want to do some debating, I would be willing to host you in the evening, not on a morning show. It'd be in an evening show.
Okay. I just stay away from science topics. I am weak on science.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think you'd do great at that. I want to see you light somebody up.
Oh, I would love to. And that's one of the reasons why I want to do it, is because I know that even as an amateur, I could take on John Piper or Ravi Zacharias and have no problem, because their stuff is all based on I know where it's going. And
yeah, there's ones. What's that guy who debated Sam Harris? Lane.
Oh, William Lane Crane.
William Lane Crane. Yeah.
He's one I'd like to see you go up against, because because his is all in trying to make the Bible do this and doing that and doing that. And I'm like, somebody who knows the Bible would, I think, from our side, who knows the Bible really well, would simply trash somebody like him.
How many times have you read the Bible?
I've read it 5 times systematically from cover to cover.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And but studying pieces here and there, I don't know. Many.
Critical Cripple wants to know, have you debated anybody? Now, yes, you have debated back in your school days. I think he means since you come out as an atheist. Not yet. Okay.
Debates with me.
in my school days, we did what we called switch sides debating.
Right.
So you walked in and you had your topic, and sometimes you would debate for it and sometimes you would debate against it.
Yeah.
Good. That's a great exercise.
That's a great tool to learn how to debate and stuff like that. But whenever we get to this level, you don't want to do that. Your job is to argue one side, period.
Exactly.
Well, it can be useful to figure out what the other side's points could be.
I totally get that. And that's part of the deal of researching. It's not so much about what Chris Hitchens says. It's what does his opponent say? What is that your opponent likely to say? Because they're going to go watch the best before they come debate you. That kind of thing. Those are my thoughts about self-study, self-education. I've done one debate, and I tend to get too passionate. Again, I'm not so good on on this first point to the second point of part A, subsection B. Do you agree that I don't do good at that? I'm like, you're wrong. You're just wrong. This is stupid. Look, you're just stupid. I'm not very good at the debating parts.
I've seen Aaron Ra lose it in a debate too.
See, and that's one of the things, Aaron Ra and then Matt Dillahunty, because we try not to cuss too much on my show, blah blah blah. But I do cuss. I spent 20 years in the oil field. I know all the best words, and I can use them. And then I'm watching. But I don't usually do that on my show because it's a show, right? And then I'm watching Matt Dillahunty, and this Christian comes on there, and he's just being a nutbag, and Matt Dillahunty's like, "Fuck you, beep," and just bounced him out, and just. I've seen them do it. So now, as I go on in this, again, here, Miss Kristen mentions Chris Hitchens was not really the best debater. He had some great points. He knew a lot about what was going on. So he'd be like, this bishop at this place, and he'd name that guy in this year, and he did this, and he was really good at that kind of stuff. But on the actual points of a debate, he wasn't really all that. But he had lots of knowledge, but he'd get passionate. He was these zingers. He would sting these guys with.
Well, he was really good at those hitch slaps. Those dropping the mic moments.
Yeah, hitch slaps they call it. And see, that's kind of where I think if I ever decided to go on and continue debating, I would be more a style like him and less like Sam Harris, which is a really low key. Straight. Now, Sam Harris has his hitch slaps too. Don't get me wrong. But his debating is more metered, more restrained than Chris Hitchens, I think, and it's more organized, like you, I would expect based on your history to be. So I think, they're different styles, and I learned a lot from both of them. I learned that I'm not a good debater, but then again, like I say, Chris Hitchens, Aaron Ra, Damian Adhope, I've seen them do some debatings, and they've kind of taught me that I can do a debate. I can be, you know what, you're wrong, man. You're just stupid. This is why. I can be that way, and it's okay. I don't have to be the perfect debater. So these are the things I'm slowly learning.
What I've heard about, and this is a metaphor.
Okay.
I was listening to Joe Rogan, and he was talking about what it takes to be a good mixed martial artist. And he said, you don't have to be a black belt and everything, but you have to be at least a blue belt, which is a medium rank at everything in terms of wrestling or kickboxing or jiu-jitsu. And being an online atheist, I think, is like that. You don't have to be perfect at everything, but you have to be good enough in either having in terms of Bible knowledge, in terms of science, in terms of being able to communicate on camera, all of those things. So it's really a constellation of skills to really focus on or try to nurture.
Yeah. Now, Godless Granny, let me ask you about your channel and Miss Rachel. Did she influence you in starting the channel? And how much blame can you lay on her?
Not really. Usually you think of your kids as being your tech support, but Rachel's not a tech person.
I've managed to break everything I touch, so I try not to touch things.
And so all the tech things that I've been learning, I've just, been muddling through it, just trying this and that and seeing what happens. My latest video, my mic was too hot and the audio is slightly distorted. And I've, up until then, every video I've done, the first thing I have to do is raise the audio because the audio has always been too soft. So this time I made sure to put the mic closer. And for the first time, the mic was too hot. And I didn't realize it until I was done filming. And so the whole thing is just a little bit off. And, so every one of my videos is a live and learn about something.
Absolutely. Audio is the bane of my existence. I'll tell you, I'm not kidding. What's that?
I approve the clickable titles. That is my job.
I see. Like this audio here, this mic went out. This big fancy Yeti, it died on me. I didn't know, so I'd be talking, it'd be popping, and my little volume. One time, I actually re-recorded an entire episode because my sound was, like you said, was too hot. And I was like, "Son of a!" I hate audio. I hate it. Yes, I understand your concern, your problems with audio. Best Name Ever says we can do the conversations instead of debates. I get the conversations. I can do that.
That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. But now with you, in your case, you haven't debated yet. And one of the things about building a channel is as you build a channel and you release videos, you're building a name.
Exactly.
Brand. You're building a brand, but a name. And therefore, whenever you say to somebody, hey, I want to debate you, they'll be like, oh, okay, this person wants to debate. Oh, you know what I mean? As opposed to now, whenever somebody comes to me in the chat and they're like, I want to debate. I'm like, why would I swing down and debate you? Who are you? I don't know who you are. Go away. You're just a troll in the chat comments. But by having a channel and using your name and building your name, people will actually step up. And then to sit there and go, they came on my channel and Godless Granny cleaned his clock or kicked it. I just want to see these things happen. That's just
right.
Usually they're so arrogant and smug. So they're, especially, all right, you're a woman. I'm not wrong about that. And they're, oddly enough, those on the right or the Christian side tend to have this thing about looking down on women.
Yes.
So the idea of you smacking one of them around on a debate stage just really thrills me. You let me know.
I need a little clutch purse.
With a brick in it. You let me know and we'll put that, we'll find somebody to get you to debate. You let me know how serious you are. I'll help you with that. I'd like to see that.
Okay.
Especially because you got the experience. Yeah. Well, guys, I guess I ought to go ahead and shut it down. It's after 7. You've been so much fun. I didn't even notice the time coming by, and I got to be honest, I did not expect. I had no idea I'd be talking sci-fi with Granny. Now, Chris she did point out that you do have Leia as your icon. I didn't realize that totally. Now it's all kind of sinking in. But, if somebody had asked me yesterday, so you can be talking sci-fi with Granny, I say, no, why would I talk sci-fi with Granny? So thank you for that. And thank you, Andy, for showing up and helping me out.
Yes,
had a great time.
It was good meeting you.
Yeah, it was nice meeting you too. You too.
You too.
You too.
This is the first time we've ever had a double couple on the show, or 2 people at the same time like that. It's first time. So first time for everything, I guess. But thank you very much. And I want to have you back on again, Granny.
Okay.
And we'll talk about stuff. Obviously, maybe a Sci-Fi Saturday kind of thing.
Okay.
I'd love to have you guys again. It was a lot of fun, and hopefully we'll see you again next Tuesday. It'd be nice, Andy, if you got.
Yeah, dude, I'll be here. No
if you're
worries.
in. Awesome, wonderful.
Yeah, I'm in.
All right, so I'm gonna shut it down. Thank you for everybody in the stream. Hans Hansen just showed up, brother. You just got here, man. We kind of missed the show, but thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you guys for coming and being on the show.
Thanks again.
Y'all have a great day. Take care.
All right.